Trail talk time. Out in the forest. Bit of a chilly day. But I wanted to talk about the ego today. And unity consciousness. Now, often when we think of the ego, we may think of somebody acting as if they're better than someone, right? Oh, they're in their ego. They're caught up in their ego. They think they're better than everyone. And that's certainly an aspect of the ego, but you can also look at it the other way. The ego can have us comparing ourselves to others and feeling inferior sometimes, right? When we feel we're not measuring up to such and such ideals or expectations that we have, comparing ourselves to other people. This is also the ego. And so either way, the ego is something that is very limiting. And most of us on the planet are identifying ourselves with our ego, thinking that we are this ego that's separate from everything else. Now, when we're born and we start to grow, I think it is important to start building up an ego, to have a sense of identity, find your own uniqueness and originality, find out where exactly you want to steer in this life, your likes and dislikes, which usually, continue to change as you grow and evolve, learn new things. But at a certain point, I feel it is very, very important to start to look beyond the ego. Start to ask, who am I really beyond this ego? Beyond this separateness. And really find out who you truly are. I remember a few years ago, I started to question who it is I really am. Who are we? What are we doing on this planet? Etc. And I came across a beautiful being. His name is Muji. And I remember watching a video of his about Christ consciousness. And he spoke about Christ beyond just a man who has this story in the Bible. And he looked at Christ consciousness, the consciousness that this being was embodying. this consciousness, because his name was not Christ. Christ, or a Christed one, means anointed one. So this is a title showing that this being was anointed or enlightened. Now, I'm not here to get into a discussion on whether or not there was a real person. I'm not going to get into any historical evidence or anything like that. But I want to talk about Christ consciousness. What was it that Christ was really embodying that made him so special? It was love. He was fully embodying love, unconditional love. Unconditional love. He had that love for all beings, no matter who they were. He loved them equally, unconditionally. No condition upon the love that he gave. And that is such a blessing that I feel the planet needs more. Unconditional love. Now the ego is what is separating us from this unconditional love, this wholeness of being, this unity consciousness, as opposed to separateness consciousness or ego consciousness that says you're separate from everything else. Unity consciousness is knowing, feeling, and experiencing that oneness with all, that unity, seeing that it's all one, we're all one. And this is where unconditional love springs from and arises from. That experience, that feeling, that knowing of oneness with all, unity. It's such a beautiful thing. And I've certainly had experiences really just being fully immersed into this unity, this beautiful love for all, and just feeling that love within me, knowing that I am loved. But this particular time, watching this video from Muji on Christ consciousness, meditating afterwards, I was completely thrown into this unity. And there truly are no words to describe just how beautiful, just how amazing this vastness really was and really is within us. And I felt so deeply that oneness, that unconditional love, that all is deserving wholly of our love, and none is more worthy than any other. And it was such a beautiful experience it truly changed my life. And like I said, I've had moments certainly in meditation or being in nature where I've really felt this. And it's like being reborn in the moment. Suddenly experiencing life with such a fullness, like feeling whole for the first time. And anyone who has experienced this ego death can attest to the beauty that comes from it. Suddenly the little problems in your life that may have bothered you so much at one time are nothing more than little instances that just fade and flow away. And you see the beauty in all moments now. And suddenly you're free and you're flowing and you're not worried about the future. You're not dwelling on the past. You're not worried about comparing yourself to people anymore. You are just free in your own being, experiencing life fully. And there is nothing like it. And so I hope I can inspire someone to really find out who you are beyond your ego, beyond your stories of yourself, beyond what you're trying to accomplish in life, beyond all of these things that separate us from one another and from the world and from life itself. And to really explore and find your true being, which is unity, oneness. So that's all I wanted to share today. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Peace and limitless love.